Hello everyone, is everyone here? I see we have around 20 plus participants. Very good afternoon to everyone. So today we will start the event from our GDSC Thai UC. I'm sure all of you have already eaten your lunch, and we are very excited to have all of you here today, even though it is a Saturday. First of all, let me first introduce myself. I am Sammy Charlie, the event lead of Thai UC GDSC and also the MC for today. It is my pleasure to be here today to help facilitate this workshop. On behalf of all our GDSC committees, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you to our first workshop of this academic year, namely the Firebase 101 Building Your First App. So, what is the purpose of today's event? As the workshop name implies, we are going to introduce all of you to the Google Firebase platform. The scope that will be covered by our speakers today is the Firebase Authentication and the Firebase Cloud Firestore. So before we begin, I would like to first brief all of you on the workshop itinerary. This workshop will start from 3 to 5:30. So for the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes, our Thai UC GDSC lead will be talking about the Google Solution Challenge, and then followed by the main highlight for today, the Firebase 101 Building Your First App workshop, which covers the Firebase Authentication and the Firebase Cloud Firestore. Before ending, our lead will also talk a little bit about the next upcoming event, the lead code session that will be held starting from next Monday. Now that all of you have a rough idea about today's workshop, let's not waste any time. Together we will welcome our Thai UC GDSC lead for this academic year, Choi Mei Sin, to start sharing about what is the Google Solution Challenge.
Hey everyone, thank you Sammy. So, hold on, let's wait for the slide to come up. Alright, this is for the lead code one.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah.
This will be a very quick introduction, and we will go right into the workshop. So bear with me for a second. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Solution Challenge, which is a yearly event that Google organizes. Okay, next slide. So the goal of the Solution Challenge is for students to create a solution that solves one or more of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and using Google technologies. So today we'll be learning Firebase, which is also one of the Google technologies. Right, next slide. So here are all the prizes. So if you got into the top 50 teams, you can receive customized mentorship, and you also get t-shirts and a certificate. And this is a global competition. So if you get into the top 50 teams, it is actually the top 50 teams in the whole wide world. Next, if you manage to enter into the top 10 finalists, you will receive even more mentorship and a bunch of swags, and also an opportunity to showcase your solution at the demo day, where Googlers from all around the world will see you, and you might be able to get noticed by the Googlers as well. Third is for the contest finalists. So in addition to all that I've mentioned, contest finalists will also get a cash prize of 1,000 USD per student. Okay. And the top 3 winners will also get all of those that I've mentioned before, plus more swags, and also a cash prize of 3,000 USD, and a feature at the Google Developers blog. Right, so this is the overall prizes for this year's Google Solution Challenge. Next slide. So here are the judging criteria. First, the 60 points is for impact. So how your solution actually solves the problem whether it is effective in solving the problem, or etc. etc. The 40 points is technology, where we discuss how the technical aspect of your solution. Is it bug-free? Does it have any flaws? Does it not work at certain scenarios? Right? And they will be looking at your use of Google technology as well. Next slide. So this is the timeline. First, you have to join the Google Developer Student Club. So since you guys are already here, you guys joining an event called PyUC, so you guys are automatically a member of the Google Developer Student Club at PyUC. So you can register by using this form. So this form will be sent to the chat later, and you can form a team of 1 to 4 people, and you can just start identifying a challenge and building a solution, right? And you have to record a demo video and submit by March 31st. Thank you. So next slide. Right, let's take a look at this video.
Hi everyone. The mission of this year's Google Developer Student Club Solution Challenge is to solve for one or more of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals using Google technology. Citing the official United Nations website, these goals are the blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. They address the global challenges we face, including poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, peace, and justice. During this video, I will show you how you can research these goals and brainstorm ideas for your solution challenge project. So starting with the official UN SDG site, the first thing I suggest you do is click on each of the goals and read the challenges each goal faces. For example, Goal 1, No Poverty. This page will give you a good primer to the challenges we face on our road to no poverty. And down at the bottom of the page, you can take a look at the facts and figures and the breakdown of targets defined for each goal. There's also an infographic you can check out to get a high-level overview of the current state of things as it relates to the specific goal. Go over the rest of the goals to get familiarized with them and see if any ideas come to mind about solutions you can build using technology. If ideas do arise, write them down to brainstorm further later. Another great site that can really help you generate solution ideas is DIAL, which stands for Digital Impact Alliance. We're going to focus on 2 tabs, SDGs and the building blocks, but I urge you to look at the other tabs. They're just as useful for your ideation stage. Okay, so let's look at the SDGs tab and take a look at Goal 2, Zero Hunger. This goal has 8 targets, which help you focus on solving a certain aspect of the goal. For example, Target 1, which summarizes as end hunger by ensuring access by all people to good, healthy food all year round. Okay, so immediately ideas start to spark. Maybe you can build a charity app that either accepts donation-safe healthy food or accepts monetary donations dedicated to providing food. Or maybe you can build a volunteering platform that brings people together to help the community at risk. Brainstorm with your team and see what aspects of these problems you are familiar with, or maybe you have access to communities who are dealing with the challenge. Having personal knowledge of a problem will allow you to design solutions which are far more effective and easier to adopt. Now, let's take a look at Goal 10, Reduced Inequalities. Target 1, achieve and sustain income growth for the bottom 40% of the population at a rate higher than the national average. What a well-defined target. Okay, so now you can start brainstorming again on how you can achieve progress through technology here. Maybe you can build an app or a platform that educates people on financial and saving strategies. Or maybe you can help small businesses grow through education apps or e-commerce and marketing apps that are specific to your community. For example, in my community, the elderly struggle with finding online educational content, and I might consider building an elderly-friendly educational platform. This platform can potentially provide the elderly with equal opportunities at learning new skills and at increasing their income. You'll see that going through these web pages will spark many ideas in your mind. Write them down and discuss them with your team. See which idea really strikes a chord with your ability and your belief. You'll be working on this for a while. You want to solve a goal that you are passionate about or that's really close to home. In the next video in the series, I'll be going through a demo case study. I'll pick up an idea and simulate the steps my team and I will take towards a successful demo submission. I hope the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals inspire you to solve for your community in a meaningful way. We can't wait to see all of your demo submissions.
Alright, so this is kind of a way for you to brainstorm ideas. We are really excited to see what everyone came up with, and we encourage you to join this. So you might think that, I don't really know much about Google technologies. Well, there is this thing called Code Labs where you can join, right? So Code Labs, again, the links will be shared later. So you can join these kind of like tutorials that you will learn. So you can learn how to do Android, Firebase, or you can learn from today's workshop as well. Flutter, TensorFlow, etc., etc. Okay. Oh, and if you see in the chat, right, one of our technical members has posted this template. You can download it beforehand. Then we will need it for latest workshop. Okay. Next slide. So there's also this design sprint kit. Okay, where you can use this kit for you to learn how to create a product. Right, so first you need to understand what the user needs. You need to define the problems, create prototypes, and then validate your idea to see if it's the right product. Right, so you can get this later. Next slide. And there are also a couple of tutorial videos. The person that we showed you just now, he has a couple more. You can definitely check them out. I think that they are really useful. Right. Okay, so here are some of the FAQs. Okay, the solution challenge, you must solve one of the sustainable development goals, right? But if it involves anything that is outside of it, you can still do it. Okay, and all of these are the other FAQs. You can check them out later. Next. So here are the previous solution challenge winners. Just now we have also showed some of them, like the Manticore, right? So you can take a look at this playlist and see how they came up with their ideas and what they did. It's very inspiring. All of them are university students, just like us. Okay. So this is the solution challenge demo day. As I mentioned, the top 10 winners would get to join the demo day, which is basically a live stream where you can show your solution to the rest of the world. Okay. They have a demo day every year. And this is the link for the 2021 Solution Challenge Demo Day. Okay, next slide. So that's all for my introduction to the Solution Challenge. I hope that everyone is interested in joining, and you can definitely register through the registration link. And this slide, this PowerPoint slide, you can also access it using the student copy link that we have already posted in the chat. Alright, thank you everyone, and we can proceed with the workshop now. Sabine, take it away.
Thank you, Macy, for the insightful introduction about this Google Solution Challenge. I hope everyone here today will take the initiative to join the 2022 Google Solution Challenge, and who knows, you might end up being one of the winners. So I have provided the registration link and also the student's copy to this slide. So without further ado, finally it is our time to start our workshop today. And for everyone's information, we will be having 2 different speakers today, each with a different topic to focus on about the Firebase. First up, we will have Wong Nian, one of our core community members, to teach us about the Firebase Authentication. And then we will have Marcus Lee, who is also one of our core community members, to continue teaching us about the Firebase Cloud Firestore. So let's get started. We will first welcome Wong Nian to start his workshop on the Firebase Authentication. Let's wait for Nian to share his screen.
Okay, hi. Sammy, I think you need to enable me to share the screen.
Oh, okay. I think it should work now.
Can you guys see my screen? If yes, then just type a yes. Okay, there. Okay, good. Okay, so let's start our workshop for today. So for today, our workshop is Firebase 101, building your first application. So actually, what is authentication? Authentication is the process of recognizing a user's identity. It is the mechanism of associating an incoming request with a set of identifying credentials. The credentials provided are compared to those on a file in a database of the authorized user's information on a local operating system or within an authentication server. I know that it's quite difficult to understand this kind of sentence. What does it mean? It's too complicated to understand. So in a simple way, and authentication is like your IC. It's to verify who you are. On the IC, you have your information such as the address, IC number, name, and so on. Whenever there is a roadblock, the police need to check your identity. So you will give your identity card, which IC, to the police, and then they will check on your IC number, which is the IC number is unique for everyone. So it's same as the authentication on the web. The IC number on the web is for token. So we will send token back to the server side, then you check is it this user are valid, then it will issue the authorization for you. So I believe that most of you have used social media like the Facebook, Instagram, or other platforms like Shopee, Lazada. First, you need to register it first, then only you can log in. All these steps are called the authentication. And the authentication is like protect a way for you to protect your digital resource of the data. Because if everyone can log into your account without the authentication, the email and the password, so everyone can check your payment method, your purchase history, and also your personal details on Facebook or Instagram. So you don't want anyone to see your own data, right? So this why web is implementing the authentication nowadays. So it is to secure your own data. So the next, first I will demo the website, the web application today that we're going to build first. Are you guys able to see the website? I'm worried that I'm just self-sharing tab. Okay, this is how the website looks like. Below here, we got the link button. You can check out our Facebook page, Instagram, LinkedIn, Discord, and also our website here. Click on it, then it will direct you to our GDSC TiUC page, Instagram, Facebook, and so on. So next, you go into this application. So first and foremost, let's go to the sign up page first. So this is a sign up page. It's like register your account with the email and also the password. So let's say I want to register my account. So I type my password, also password again. Sign up. Wait, password doesn't match. So type again. Okay, this email is in use. So let's say I use 0. Yes, user created. So like now I'm going to get sign in. This automatic sign in. So here is our social wall, and this we have the post content here, create, and also we can like the page. So and also we can sign out and then get another user to log into other user account. So let's say if you direct back to the login page, you're not able to go to login page because be implementing the on-off state change to make sure when you have already logged in, make sure you are not logged into another account again. So we implemented this method so that user will not have some confused why yesterday I already logged in, but now today I'm in the login page. Something like this. So I sign now and now to the login page. You can either use the email and the password to log in, or you can use a Google. Today I'm going to teach you two methods. The first one is the email and the password, and the second one is by Google. Google, you just click and then select the account that you want. Let's say I select this. It's my personal account. Wait for a moment, then it will let you log in to the index.html page, which is the after login. Let's say if you haven't logged in but you want to access to the social wall, you will be redirected back to the login page, which is secure the social page, not allow to anyone to, before they haven't logged in, make sure they have registered and they only can see the page. So this is roughly the website that we are going to build today. Okay, just now I have sent the link on the chat there. So if anyone haven't download, so they can download first. You send the link again. So is everyone have downloaded the code? If someone needs some time, you can raise up your hand, then I can wait for you for a minute. Okay, you can download the zip, and then make sure you extract the file and open it at any code editor like the VS Code or the editor. Okay, let me open. I need to extract the file first. Okay, so everyone is good to go. Okay, first I will go through the code first. Let me see which file is this. Okay, this one. So okay, I will go through the code first. So basically this is a vanilla JavaScript, HTML, CSS, JavaScript file. All those three. So today our application will have 3 pages, which is a sign up, login, and also the index.html. For the index.html, which is a social wall, you need to log in first, then you only can access to the index.html. Don't worry, I will teach you guys how to do the sign up and all that function. Okay, for the style, all the CSS file will be inside here, and so for the src will be all the JavaScript file inside here. And so for the asset is like our icon, our favicon, all that. So okay, so firstly come to sign up page first. So basically for this section is the sign up pages. This container is a sign up page, and for the below here is our social media link here. So you can check it out and check out if you're interested in the CSS, you can check out the CSS file and learn some CSS to know how to develop this. So this basically is a JavaScript file to implement the hiding and showing up the function. Okay, so for the login page, it's also the same thing, container and also the social media page, social media function method. So this is social media JavaScript file. For the index file, later on, the Marcus will explain you on this. So I will mainly focus on the sign up and also the login page. Okay, so the next thing I will go to. So before we start to code, I need to teach you how to create your Firebase project. But there's one thing you need to be aware. Do not use your school account to register because of some restriction. Our school not allow us to use the Firebase project on school email, so you have to use your own school email, use your personal email to create a Firebase project. So first, if anyone cannot follow up, you can raise up your hand, then I will notice that, then I will slow down and wait. I will explain again, okay? So just go to Google and search for the Firebase. And click on the firebase.google.com for the first link, not the ad. Okay, I think you guys can follow. So now, if you haven't logged in, then just log into your account first. And after that, just either go to a console or you can click on the get started. So go to the console here. I think you guys will not see anything here. Either you can see the create project or the add project like me. So just add the project here. Make sure you are not using your school email. So for the name, you can enter the name whatever you want. You want to my first project, my first web app, or my first Firebase project. It's up to you. Let's say I want to my first picture. Okay, just click continue. We need to disable the Google Analytics because today we are just teaching you how to use the Firebase Authentication and also the Firestore. We are not using the Google Analytics to prevent your system or your Firebase project too heavy, so we just disable this. So next, we can start to create the project. So just give him a moment, a second until the minute. Until here, everyone can follow, or you need some time to create a project. If you need some time, you can raise up your hand, then I will slow down and wait for you for a second. Yes, Tribun, thank you. You can follow. Is everyone Firebase project created? If not yet, you can raise up your hand. Loading, okay. Okay, no problem. I can wait for you for a second. Okay, if 3:32, then I will start. Just give you a minute to create the project first. So, while we waiting, may I ask, anyone do know how to use JavaScript? If yes, then you can raise up your hand. Okay, everyone know how to use the JavaScript. Great. Okay, now it's 3:32. So, is anyone haven't created the project? Okay, I can start to continue. Okay, I believe that all of you have the same terminal here. So first, go to here, click on the web icon here. This is Android, this is Apple, but we just want to, today we are building the application on the web. So we click on this web, and then as usual, the name, whatever. My first web app, your first web app, whatever, just put any name that you want. Today we are not going to host the website on the Firebase, so just no need to click on this. If you're interested in the Firebase hosting, you can check out the documentation at here, documentation. Also, you can go to the Google or the YouTube to find more resources on this. So click on the register app. By the way, guys, if you guys have any question, you can type up the chat here so that I can notice, then I will explain it. Okay, so next thing, add Firebase SDK. Google have provided 2 SDK for us, but for the NPM, if you guys know how to use the NPM package manager, you guys can use this. But for today, we are using the vanilla JavaScript, so we are using a script tag. But we don't need to copy first because I will teach you where to get all this, because once you continue to console, you can't get back to this page again. So I will teach you later how to find the configuration, credential, and also the initiate script inside the Firebase project. So just click continue to the console. Okay, after that, go to the setting here and click on the project settings. You will see the journal here. Scroll to the bottom until you find there's an npm, cdn, and also the config. Okay, so one more thing. Before this, make sure your VS Code have downloaded the extension which is called the live server, because we need the live server to run the code. Without the live server, I think you might have some problem to access to the. You can use a local, but I suggest you use a live server. You can download the extension here, search for live server, and then just download it. Then after that, you can just use it. Right click on and then open the live server, or you can click the icon below here. Go live. So I will go live first. Then you will pop out the window here. Okay, because the configuration is not done yet, so you might notice there is some error there later, but it's not presented yet, the error. Okay, so next thing. Okay, now let's start to code. So first and foremost, I will teach you how to sign up the user first. For your info, we need to set up the Firebase project on the authentication. So go to the authentication here, and then click on the get started. For today's lesson, for today's workshop, I'm going to teach you register and log in by using the email password and also the Google. If you're interested in the Facebook, Apple, Twitter, you can find out more documentation here. If you have a complete documentation, or if you think that documentation is too difficult to understand, you can find the resources on the YouTube. It's a live one step-by-step guide. So click on this and then enable the email and password. We are not using the email link passwordless sign in. So just click save. And also we need to add new provider for the Google. Enable it. And after you enable, then just select the email that you are using right now. For this one, just select it default. So after that, just click save. We are not going to do the whitelist or the web SDK configuration. We are not going to solve it. I just teaching you how to sign in by the Google. Okay, after that. So let's go back to the credential part. We need to set up our project at the code there. So click on the project setting, scroll to the bottom, and click on the CDN. We are not using config or npm. We are just using a CDN. So I believe that you guys will see the file for the sign up page like this. There's some comment here which I want you to let you know where the code, where you should put the code. So first, we need to import the function you need from the SDK unit. Actually the SDK line, Firebase have done the logic and also the API behind. So we just need to, okay, I think some have the question? Oh yeah, sure. No problem. Sorry. Is this okay? Or you need to enlarge more?
Yeah, a lot better.
Okay, right. So for the SDK, actually, Firebase have done all the logic and the API behind. So we just need to import the function from the SDK. Then we just use the function. We don't need to code like using the API, fetch, or the exhaust, and so on. We just need to call the function only. So we need to import the function you need from the SDK. So copy this first line, import initial app from the link, the Firebase link, and put it here. Import initiate. After that, I guess you guys can follow along, right? So the next thing is a Firebase configuration. Actually, the Firebase configuration is like our credential. We need to let the Firebase know which account we are using. I'm using my personal account. So I need the credential so that Firebase can monitor the resources that we are using on which account. I need to set up all the Firebase here. So we need the credential to let the Firebase know. So just copy the Firebase config and then put it enter here. Okay. It's very quick and easy step. So the next thing, we will need to initiate the Firebase. For the next this thing, I'm not going to copy and paste because copy and paste, you will not learn anything from that. So I will type out one by one, step by step, so that I can explain along so that you can understand more about it. So at here, we need to constant app initialize app, and then Firebase config. So I will type out one by one here. Constant app equal, because just now we have import the initialize app here, we can just use it. Initialize app, then we put the app here. This function is like we initiate the Firebase app, and then we put this is not app, this is Firebase config. Telling the code, we are telling the Firebase, we initialize the Firebase app with this credential so that Firebase can know what account we are using. So the next thing we will be the setup is done. So next thing, we will need to go to the Google documentation to find out what method to create the email to create the account. So let us go to the Google and search for Firebase Authentication. I hope you guys can follow me along to search on this because the Firebase documentation is quite a bit complicated. So maybe you can follow along and then you try or search on yourself. So search for the Firebase Authentication. Click on this Firebase Authentication. You will see there is a drop-down menu here, authentication, but we just need to go to the web. We are not using the Android, iOS, C++, or Unity. We just need the web and expand it, and then click on the Get Started. I assume that everyone can follow up. If you can't follow, you just type on the chat box, let me know. Then I will slow down and just wait for you. So, okay, next, we are using the web version 9. It's not web version 8 anymore. We're using the web version 9. You will see there's a sign up new user title here. So this is the import method we need to import also. So just copy this and paste it down here. And you guys done already, right? It's a quick and simple copy and paste only. But we are not using the npm package manager. So the file, the Firebase method, the Firebase JavaScript file is not inside here. We cannot use the relative path to get the method, to import the method inside. So delete this. We copy the link on the initialize app, the link here, and change the Firebase app to the Firebase off. Same goes to the Firebase Cloud, Firestore, Firebase database. Just change the things behind only. I think there's some question. Can repeat? Oh yeah, sure. Okay. Let me find. Okay. Okay, you just search for the Google Authentication. And then click on the Firebase Authentication. Search for the Firebase Authentication. Click on the link. And also you will see a drop-down authentication here. We need to go to the web. And then we click on the Get Started. Scroll down, you will see the sign up new user. The sign up new user is for the create user with email and password. First, we will need to copy and paste the import statement first. Copy this and go back to your code and paste it down the import statement, the first import statement. Okay, so I think you guys can follow up right until here. Next, because we are not using the, I think there are some of you don't know what is the npm, but never mind. We are not using the relative path here. We are using the SDK, which is the CDN. So we need to copy the link here and then paste it. Maybe I can show you what's the link inside. Inside the link, this is a JavaScript file. This JavaScript, because we use the CDN to connect to the JavaScript file. We are not using because, or you can copy all this and then create the JavaScript file in your Locker. Then only you find the path, like maybe you can as your Firebase app.js. But first, you need to create the Firebase file inside here, then copy the code and paste it inside. But these are too troublesome. We just use the CDN. CDN is the most easier ways to import the file. Same goes to this thing. Because this thing just now is the Firebase off, but we are not creating the file in the local server, so we need to use a CDN. After you copy and paste the link like this, just change the Firebase app to the Firebase off. Hit the same thing. Then we have the same thing JavaScript file, but with different function and the code. Same goes to the Cloud Firestore. You just need to put Firebase. Maybe it's Firestore if I'm not mistaken. If you want to use Firebase database, just Firebase database. But now we are using the Firebase off authentication, so we just put Firebase off. So configuration is done. We have initialized the app. Okay, the next step, we have import the get off and also the create user with email and password. The get off is something like we initialize the authentication method. It's like something like the initialize the Firebase app, but this one is specifically for the as usual. We're not going to copy and paste, type out one by one so that you can understand more. So like this, constant off, and then get off. you need to put the app inside here. Because we need to tell the authentication, we are using this account. We are not using any else account. We are using this account. So put the app inside so that authentication can know which account you are using. So after the get authentication, we are going to use the method create user with email and password. This method is allow you to create a user with email and the password. You just need to import the email and the password. And then after you create the account, the account will display at the authentication here. So far we have nothing because we haven't created any account yet. So okay, continue to the code. As usual, we are not going to copy and paste. So you will see, just skip on the on-off state change first. At the last part, I will talk about this. So this is a sign up function that I have ready for you. This is a document get element by ID sign up. Sign up is the button on this when you on.
So it depends.
I have
So
added
all are
event
here.
listener on this.
Apart from one.
After you click, then it and for the third is a password. You can use either the password or the confirm password. It's up to you. Actually, because we have run the verification here, if the password doesn't match, it will return. Then the code below is not run again. So either one is okay. After that, you can try to log the user credential to check
The answer is 10.
credentials
Then right B, just
to check what are the things
finally
returned.
put this one.
But before this, we need to also
The answer
put
is 10. We
the
need remember like this. Just write out
field
the letter
return
B, Y,
dot
P.
coach error. So because we cannot guarantee that
Okay.
the Firebase have not problem with the parameter we
What is
pass.
it?
So that we need to cache any error inside here, inside this function. So just type error, and then we can
Next one.
log the error to check why is that.
Real, what
now,
is the X
Until this step,
square Z?
we have
Which one?
done the create user
I
with email
square
and
it,
password.
I also cannot get negative
Is
value.
everyone
Correct
can
or not?
follow? Or
So
you
we
need
will
some
say
time
that
to
This
check it out?
X here must be nothing lah.
Yes, that type
Yes,
okay, or
So we will have
yes, I'm
X
good.
equal
However,
to,
I need to know
empty
if everyone can follow up.
or just put like this. Empty set.
Or if you have any problem, you can raise up your hand.
Okay. How about this? X is a
Okay,
positive
so far,
integer
so
and X
good.
square less than 12.
Okay. Okay, then
Then
we continue.
What is
Still okay.
the X value? For the set A
So,
here, you have
okay,
1, 2,
next
3, and now
let's
you want
come
to
to our
find the set B.
website here.
What is the set B? What are the elements inside the B where the X square will be less than 12? A equal B.
sure you are in the
You
sign
can list
up
out the
page.
element first.
So
yes,
first,
it is
let us
1,
start
2,
to create
3,
our
right?
account.
Because
First,
3
very
square
first
is
account.
9.
I'm
If you
using
go
my
to
whole
4 square,
name.
already 16.
Then I type
So in this
my
case,
password
A
1,
will
2,
be
3,
equal
4,
to
5, 6.
B.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the introduction to
Okay, user
set.
credential.
Now, the second
My
one,
account
we
is
will go
successfully
to
created because
subset.
it's returned the user credential here. Yes,
So far, okay or not? 1.1.
Let's say register a same account again,
Okay.
and its same password you can be different. I click sign up, to return some error because the error is email already in use. This is where the error come from. We need to have the error. We need to cache the error so that user know what's the problem. The email have registered the password too short because if not mistaken, the password for the Firebase need to have at least of 6. If 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Password should be at least 6 characters. So I think most of you can create the account, right? You can check it out at your Firebase dashboard. Refresh. Yeah, here, my very first account. Is everyone can create your first account? If yes, you can type 1, okay, there. Is it? Okay, it seems like everyone can create the account. Good to go. Okay, next thing. Okay, for us to know done the sign up page. If you got a problem, you can raise up your hand again. Okay, I think everyone is okay, should be fine. So at the login page, everything is same. Import the function you need from SDK unit. So just go back to the sign up, copy this, and also this both of these. Because in the login page, we are using the get authentication also. if you not really know how to, if you not really know how to code your bio, actually it's same as the create user with email and password, just the method different only. So as you can now just code with me along. Okay, the method is sign with email and password. Sign with email and password. First parameter is the auth
So we
to
have
check
4
which account we are
subsets for this
using.
set A.
Second is the email. I have done the get element by for you.
Now,
you just
Yeah,
type the
I have the
email
A now
and also
is
the password.
A, which set
Next thing is to get the successful message or
it
not
subset.
all and
Correct.
get the successful message
So we have
and
empty
also
set.
get the error
We
message.
have one
my mistake. Okay, now let's sign in again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Login. Yes. User credential, operation, provider ID, user. When it's logged, it console the credential like this. That means we have successfully logged into the web application. So this is what is returned. For this, we will need to redirect them to the information page, HIF. We need to redirect them to the index page, which is a social wall. Okay, don't worry, because if you type the wrong password, it will prompt you the error also. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Login of wrong password. So don't worry, every error that Firebase already covered. Wrong email, wrong. If let's say you have not registered this account, you log in of user not found. It's whether that it depends on whether you want to let user know email is not existing or not. It depends on you. Okay, so now we log in again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Login. Yes, success. We are logged into the index page because this page we haven't set up the configuration, the credential, so it's from the error here. It's normal. Okay, now we are going to use a sign out method, but don't create a sign out method first. We need to copy the credential to somewhere else. So go back to the code. You copy the credential, this, and go to the library. Like the file here. I think everyone can follow, right? Library, and then click on the firebase.javascript file. Because I'm not, I didn't give any credential here, so you need to put your credential yourself. I like this, and then paste it. All the credential done, and click save. We need to implement also the sign out method. I think everyone can follow, right? Is anyone cannot follow? Okay, so far so good. Okay, great. So now go to the logic, the index, sorry, not the logic. You can close up this. Go to the index.javascript file. I think it's sign out, where is sign out? Render. Let's redirect. Okay, sign out. You can check out the function at the line 39. There's a sign out button, and you press enter. We will put the logout function here. As usual, we have done the import statement for you, which is this. Actually, it's same the link with this one. If you want to try yourself, you can copy this link and paste it here. Actually, it's the same. But the different thing is we have import the sign out method here. So we can check out the documentation. If not mistaken, okay. Open the new tab, search for Firebase sign out. This one, the first link. After you enter the page, you access the website, scroll to the bottom. You will check, you will see there's a sign out method here. Okay, sign out of .then as usual. It's just a simple thing on it. Sign out, then let the Firebase know which account you are using. After that, just then and the cache error. So now let's type along with me. Sign out of. The off we have initialized here. So just no need to worry that where is the off. We have prepared for you. Sign out of. Then I and we return nothing. Sign out, return nothing. So just leave blank. But then, because after they sign out, we do want to keep them inside the index.html page. We need to redirect them back to the login page. So just window.location.hif login.html. So for the catch, we need to catch the error also in case there is some error there. The error for the parameter, then whether you want to log the error or you want to alert the error, it's up to you. But for the sign out, the error is very seldom to occur, very seldom to happen. So don't worry about the cache. But at least we have something to notify us there's something error there. So just console log the error is enough, or alert the error. So now go back to our website. If there's still something error there because the Firestore haven't implemented, but the sign up button is ready. Click sign out, then you will be redirected to the login page. So for the sign up and for the sign in, it's as simple as this. So the next thing is for the Google authentication or sign in by the Google. It's up to you what the name that you want to call. So for the Google, also very simple. Go to the Firebase documentation. You will see the Google sign in. Click on this. Scroll down. Okay, stop at here. Then you will see the import Google Auth provider. You need to copy this both, but just copy this first. But we don't need to copy the entire import statement. We just need to copy the keyword Google Auth provider because we have import the same link at the login. Yeah, see, because we have import the CDN here. We just need to copy the keyword and then put the comma and put the Google Auth provider here. That's it. Have import the Google Auth provider. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, no. So go back to the Google documentation. We need to copy this. Or we can type one by one. So type better. So scroll down, go to the Google Auth login function at the 990. So make it one space, and then we can start to initialize the provider. Constant provider new Google Auth provider. Okay, correct. Correct. If you worry that you have typo or what, you can just copy this and then paste it there. Basically, this line is like Google Auth provider is like something like the blueprint. You need to make an object of the blueprint. So the provider will be the object, then we can use later. Now, the next thing, go back to the documentation. You can ignore this. This is not what we want. Yeah. Not this one. This is optional. Ignore this. Yeah, we need this. We need to sign in with pop-up. Okay, so copy the sign in because as usual, we have import a statement. We have import from the SDK. We just need to copy the sign with pop-up, the function on it. With this, and then paste it here. After that, I know that this is quite long, the code, but we still need to type one by one so that you can understand. So sign in with pop-up. Okay, so make one space and start to code below here. sign in with for the first parameter is to tell the Firebase what are the account or the credential we are using. So put the off. Second is a provider. We want to, because Firebase have provide many provider like the Google, Facebook, Apple, Steam, I think Steam, no, the Play Store. Yeah, a lot of provider. So we need to specify what are the provider we are using. Let's say you have multiple provider, you can mention like this, Google provider. The name is up to you, the variable. After that, just put dot, then we return result. Okay. For the sign in with pop-up, actually it's really same logic with the sign in with email password, but just different sign method on it. So when it's successfully signed in, we need to redirect them again. So just copy the window.location.href, copy this, down here. We need to check it out. What is the result? What is the return? So just make a comment first. We will do it. We will uncomment it later. Console log result, and then don't forget about the catch. We need to see if there is some error. Log error. And the Google sign method just as simple as this. So now let's test our web application. I believe that most of you have the same error like this, the warning, the error like this. You can't sign in unauthorized domain because we haven't set up the domain in our Firebase project. You see, this is a 127.0.0.1. This is the domain we are using right now. So go back to our Firebase project. You click on the sign in method. I will start to slow down here because this is quite, I need time to explain on this. So add domain, and the domain, you need to enter the domain that you are using. 127.0.0.0.1. I know that some of you know 127.0.0.1 is a local host. We already authorize a domain local host here. Why we need to authorize a 127.0.0.1 again? Because the domain that is returned is 127.0.0.1. Firebase cannot recognize. I know Firebase cannot recognize the string this. They are recognize a local host. So you need to manually input the domain here. Once you have entered the domain here for the custom domain, you can start to log in again, refresh, and then log in. Yeah, success. So I will need to choose an account that I want to sign in. I is using my school account. Yeah, it returned the credential for me. Yeah, my display name is Wong Nian. My email, my school email is Wong Nian, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I successfully logged into the account. So now we uncomment this. So for this line, you want to keep it or you want to remove, it's up to you. Everyone can follow up, or it's too complicated on the authorized domain. So far, no problem, right? Okay. Okay, now go back to the application. You can try to log in again. Now this time it will redirect you back to the index.html page. Yeah. So sign out, something like this. But there's one more, maybe we can call the bug, because if the the person is haven't logged in, we go to the index.html. For this one, he can, okay, let's say they have signed in, but they manually type the login. They still can access this. We want to prevent this type of bug here. So we are implementing the on-off state change inside the code. So let us sign out first. Go to the top, you will see at the line 73 in the login page, on-off state change. Okay, go to the Firebase documentation. We will need to implement this. If not mistaken, yeah. After the sign-in existing user, check out the set and authentication state of server and get user data. For the on-off state change, actually, it will return the user data for you. Like you want to, once they log in, you want to display their name or their email or even their profile picture on the screen. So this is the way to return the profile, or you want to check whether they are logged in or not. If not, redirect back them to the login page. If yes, then just redirect back them to the index.html page, which is the social wall. So import statement we have done. As usual, we need to copy the on-off state change. Go to login, put it here. Not wrongly put the on-off state change on the Firebase app import statement because it might cause some error. So just beware on this on-off state change. So let's log the function. On-off state change, we need to put the off inside, then it will return the user. Okay, something like this. Okay, just type along with me. On-off state change. Put the auth inside, let the Firebase know which account we are using. And here will be the function, the return function. So it will return the user. Whether the user is existing or not, it will return the user. So here we will need to check if user. Because if user is not existing, if the user is not logged in, it will return the user is null or undefined. The null I mean is null or undefined, like this. If user is logged in, the data is returned some data, then it will return true. Then we will need to do something here. If user is signed in, something here. Else the user is returned null or undefined. And we will need to do something here. Okay. Since we are in the login page, if user is logged in, then we need to redirect them to the index.html page. I think some of you already know what to do next. Yeah, it's window.location.hif /index.html. If user is logged in, then just redirect them to the index.html. For the else, we are not doing anything since the person is in the login page and he haven't signed in. So just remove this. We are not going to do anything here. So for the sign up page, same thing. Copy the on-off state change. Put it here. Paste. And the next copy. No, we do copy. Just type so that we can understand more. On-off state change off. And for the next one, we will be the function return. User. So if user, so we put a comment here, if user is signed in, and we will need to redirect them to the index.html. Else we no need, since it's sign up page, it's not the index page. So once done, we can try it out. And let's log in by the Google. Okay, now I have logged in. If I trying to go to the login page, we redirect back to the social wall. So this is how the security implementing in most of the web application nowadays. So now sign out. Okay, I will talk a little bit about the index.js. Okay, you open up the index.js file. On the 922 or not state change. Here will be a little bit different from just now. It's the same code on off state change. Put the credential here off, and then the return statement here. Okay, if user, because we are sociable, we need the user to sign in. If user is logged in, then they will start to run the code below here to do something else. Later, Marcus will explain you what are the things run here. So, but else, which means the user is not signed in. Else, it will redirect back to the login.html page. So this is what the on-off state change we are using here doing. So for the code here, actually we are done with the Firebase Firebase Authentication. So far, anyone have question? You can ask. Anyone got a question? So far, so good. Don't be shy. You can ask any question. Okay, so if you have any question about the Firebase Authentication or you're having a problem, you can just type out on the chat box. Then I will notice them. Then I will explain again. If you don't understand anything, you also can type out on the chat box. So I think for my section, for my workshop Firebase Authentication, is until here. Thank you. I will pass back the mic to Sammy.
Okay, hi everyone. So just to make sure everyone can hear me clearly, right? If you can hear me clearly, just write 1 in the chat box. Yep, okay, great. So far so good, right? So I saw a lot of the people here, you all seem very good, There's no question at all at Firebase Off. So just to do a check, how many of you here have actually used Firebase before? And you have actually heard of or actually used Firestore before? If you had, can you please raise your hand? Wow, okay. Okay. There's going to be, okay. I think there's like more than 10 people here had actually used Firebase or Firestore before. So so I'm going to continue on the thing that my friend had talked to you about Firebase Off. So let me just get my slides first. So today I'm going to talk about Cloud Firestore. But the reason why we're making this talk about Firebase, about Firestore, I think in the beginning, Mei-Sing, our lead, has actually already told you about solution challenge. So as a programmer, so like a lot of the time we have to think like a problem solver. All that we want to do is to solve problem. So we want to solve, I don't know, maybe you want to solve someone's problem about healthcare. You want to solve some problem about, oh wait, there's one question here. Isn't the Firebase configuration confidential? How do we hide configuration from the user before? Yep. That's an issue, but I'll be covering that later because it's not in our topic today lah. But that's certainly something that we'll have to take care of. I'll talk about that later lah at the end of the talk. So yeah, so the reason why we're making this talk to talk about Firebase Auth and Firestore is that we want to build solution, whether it's for your school project, it's for a hackathon, or it's for anything else. We want to build solution as a programmer, as an engineer. So for an application, there's few things that's very very important nowadays lah. Almost every website, every application that you go to, you somehow need authentication. You somehow need to like logged in. Of course, they make it easy where you can just click on your, maybe some using OTP, you can use phone, you can use email, you can use Google or Facebook. It makes the whole authentication flow easier, but there's certainly authentication in most of I would say like 99% of the application. And also the same thing applies. Almost 99% of the application out there, they need a database. You need to store information about your user, or you need to store some information about your business entities. So that's why we're covering two of the most important topics here: Firebase Auth and Firestore. So let's get into it. So let's talk about what is Firestore actually. So what actually is Firestore? So I would say that Firestore, we call it like Cloud Firestore. So obviously it is cloud hosted. So actually, to be more specific, it's actually hosted in Google Cloud. And Firestore is a database as a service. So if you looked it up, the whole Firebase thing, we call it a backend as a service. So for this part, for Firestore, because it's a database, okay? Firestore is a database. It's just like any SQL database, like maybe you have learned before MySQL, you have learned before Postgres or MongoDB. It's just like that. It's a database, but it's provided from the cloud, so you don't have to install things on your local machine or anything. You can just use it on the cloud. So it's a DBaaS. We call it a database as a service. So you just go to the website. When you create a project, you actually like already created the Firestore instance. So yeah, so it's actually quite simple to set it up, and it's a NoSQL database. So I'll explain a little bit about what is SQL and NoSQL, because it's quite important for us to like grasp the idea of what is NoSQL and SQL before we can actually start implementing the code. There's some theory here. There's some theory part. So be prepared and freshen up yourself a little bit. So if you feel very tired, go grab like a drink or something. There's something that we need to do later on. Of course, we're going to build like an application, but before that, I'm going to talk a little bit about what Firestore is. So it's also a flexible and scalable database. This is like the most appealing selling point of Firestore. So I'll explain on like what does the term scalable means later. It's actually quite important. It's the reason why a lot of the companies and a lot of the personal like solo developers, they tend to use Firestore a lot, is because it's very easy to be scalable and it's very flexible. You can basically like any type of application you want to build, you can build it on Firestore, but depends on your use case lah. So, and also it's a document database, so it's just like a paradigm of how you store your data. I'll talk about this later on. Also, I'll cover it. I'll let you know what is a document database. And lastly, it's that Firestore supports real-time updates. So if you had experience working with real-time data before, so let's say if previously you have built like a web app with like MySQL or PostgreSQL, and you want to make the data real-time, it's actually quite hard to be done. You have to deal with a lot of the socket stuff, the network stuff. So you have to use like WebSocket and stuff. But when you use Firestore, they actually provide you an SDK, and it's actually already implemented. So all that you need to do is very simple. So you just have to like call a function. So yeah, so these are the basics. These are the selling points and like the core of what Firestore is. So let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about SQL and NoSQL. So just to know, okay, how many of here you actually know what is SQL, or like you have heard of it before, you have like you use it in your assignment before or something? So if you have, can you please raise your hand? Yeah, quite a lot. Yeah, I think our school covers that lah. So if you're from computer science, like if you study computer science, you probably know about that. But today we're going to cover about NoSQL, which is a type of like database that rarely been touched by our syllabus. But so imagine SQL is like this. So let me get my pointer. Yep. So this is like a basic SQL database. So it's just like Excel or Google Sheet, where you have like a table and then you have like different rows and columns. So this is a traditional SQL database. So it follows a certain format, like because you have like the ID column, name column, created at and updated at. So you must follow, when you insert the data, you must follow this format. You must give the ID, you must give the name. But for NoSQL, it's actually the complete opposite. So this is the document model that I mentioned just now. It actually doesn't force you to do certain thing. You don't see like in this NoSQL collection, we call this a collection, and then in this single icon we call it a document. So in a document you don't see that there's like columns or there's like properties that is like that forces you must have this or you must have that. No, NoSQL doesn't actually have a lot of rules. SQL has a lot of rules. So if you heard of like the concept of like primary keys, foreign keys, composite keys, those doesn't apply to NoSQL. In other words, it doesn't apply to Firestore. So Firestore doesn't has all these complex concepts like primary keys or foreign keys. So to get started with Firestore, it's actually very easy. It's actually very simple also. So basically this is SQL and NoSQL, and let's move on. So we're going to explore about like what is document database, like because we mentioned about document. So basically like instead of like for NoSQL, it stores data in a document. So it's like you have like if you're like you have like a work desk, so it's like you have like a you have like a folder or you have like a file or something, then within that file you have a lot of like pages of document. So it's something like that. So because like when you have like a file and then you have like different pages of A4 paper, right? Not all the A4 paper must be having the same type of content. It can be different. So maybe the first page of the first page of the A4 paper can be like a drawing. The second page can be like a contract. The third page can be like some lecture notes or something. So it doesn't force you to follow a rule. Whereas in SQL you have to follow the rules. So yeah. So enough talking about SQL and NoSQL. Basically, this is the concept. SQL has a lot of rules. NoSQL doesn't have a lot of rules. Okay, so let's move on. So here are some differences between SQL and NoSQL. This is to clear up some like to clear up like for especially for people that you already know what is SQL. So like I mentioned, SQL is a table-based database. So you must follow the rules, like you have like certain columns to fulfill, keys or something. But NoSQL, it doesn't actually has to be document-based. Like just now I show you it's document-based, but NoSQL can be a lot different. It has various types. It can be document-based, can be key value pairs, it can be graph databases. But if you do not know that, it's fine. Okay, today we're going to talk about document-based, which is Firestore. Firestore is document-based, and also SQL is structured. Okay, like SQL database is structured. The data is structured and it follows a schema. Like you won't get like if you have 4 columns: ID, name, created, and updated at. You won't get like the 5th property of a data. You won't get that. It follows a certain schema. But for NoSQL, it's unstructured and it has no fixed schema. So like just like the example I give just now, you can have drawings, you can have contract, you can have lecture notes. It doesn't matter as long as it's a data. So for SQL, if you learn before, there's a language that you can use to query for data. You can use like select star from something. But for NoSQL, there's no specific query language. So you might be wondering, how does Firestore actually query data? We'll get into that later. We actually use JavaScript functions to do that, which is a lot simpler. Because if you already know JavaScript, you don't need to learn another language, which is SQL. You just need to know JavaScript, and then you can do all the database thing. And like if you know, like SQL is actually like a very old product. Like MySQL and PostgreSQL have been created like 20-30 years ago, and in that kind of time, actually there's not like very big application. There's no Google even exists back then. Facebook doesn't exist back then. There's not like an application that has like 1 million or 2 million visitors per day. So the need for the database is actually not that high. But nowadays, you have all the like like the tech unicorn running a lot of like application where Facebook being accessed by like, I don't know, billions of time every day. So the database get hit, like you get query and the data get changed every time when you open the app. So the database has to be very scalable. So like the term scalable actually means able to serve more traffic. So in general, NoSQL can be scaled better, and NoSQL can serve more traffic to put it in simpler words. But of course, there's like more technical details under that thing. I'll try to like just briefly talk about it later. So for some examples of SQL, you have MySQL, PostgreSQL, and then NoSQL. Definitely you have Firestore, and you have MongoDB, Redis also. If you do not know about them, it's okay. Just remember that today we're going to talk about Firestore. So let's talk about how Firestore stores its data. Like I mentioned, Firestore follows a document model. So there is a collection, and then within a collection, you have a lot of different documents. So a collection is like a file. So you can have like a file, and within that file, you have a lot of A4 paper. So I can define what kind of collection that I want. So today we're making like a social post, which is mimicking Facebook, so like a social wall where people can post something. So definitely we need like a post collection. So within this post collection, we can store a bunch of documents. So all these document is like an individual post. So this is what we call collections. So you can have different things. If you in the future you want to expand the app to support comments, to support, I don't know, feedback, then you can create another collection for that. So within that collection you have different documents. So you have a lot of like different documents. So these are all the like actual posts. And then within a document, you will write something like in an A4 paper, you have drawing, or in another A4 paper, you have like contract or like something. So you have the actual properties of that document. So we call it a field in Firestore. So like for this document, for example, I have the content, I have the creator that, I have how many likes and the user that posted it. I have all this information written on that document. So this data will be used later to build our application. So this is actually the Firebase document model. This is how it stores things. So it's actually very different if you're coming from an SQL background where you like remember things follows a schema and to follow a table-based thing. So to talk about why Firestore is so popular, we have to roughly talk about its architecture. So like for example, this is like I mentioned, Firestore is hosted on the cloud. So basically it's hosted on the Google's cloud. So and like you can, because they provide you like an SDK, like you like just now Nian guide you all to like install the Firebase SDK or something. So you can actually use the SDK to interact with your Firestore hosted in the cloud. So basically what you do is you just call JavaScript functions. Of course, they support more language. If you are using PHP, if you're using like C# or other programming language, they support that as well. But today we're going to use JavaScript. So it doesn't really matter where are you calling Firestore from. You can call it from your web app, you can call it from your mobile app or any other app that you want to, you can do that. So it's very flexible. So this is what we say, it's flexible. And it's also scalable. Like what do I mean scalable is like you can see there's only one single instance of Firestore running. So let's say if like one single instance is able to cope for like 10 users, okay, so we call it low traffic. 10 users still considered low traffic. But there's an issue. So what happens if you suddenly have a lot of visitors come to your site? So if it's like let's say in another 10 minutes you have like 1,000 people coming to your website, then how should we like handle this load? Actually, the answer to that question is we don't have to handle. It's because Firestore actually handles it for us. So it does this by doing something we call auto scaling. So like when there's no user, like you have maybe like just 10 users using your site, Google will give you one single instance, which is low traffic, and you just use what you pay. So you don't pay for what you don't use. So when you have less users, they just give you like a single instance and they charge you the money for a single instance. But if you have like, let's say you have like 30 users, 40 users, 50 users, or even more, Google will provision more instance for you. So you have like more Firestore instance, and then you can able to like serve higher traffic. But the beauty about this is you don't have to do anything. it just knows, like Google just knows how many user you need, like Google just knows how many instances you need, so they just give you, when you have more users they just give you more instance, when you have no user they just take back the instances. So this is how they help you to save money, so you don't pay for what you don't use. So it's not like the back in the day you have to rent a computer where the computer have like 7 cores, 8 gig of RAMs, and then the 8 gig of RAM runs out and then your application crash. This is actually very important. Like, I'm not sure whether you all recall, like last time there's one case where Malaysians are trying to register for vaccines and then the system crashed. So it could be because of the database layers crash. But if they are using Firestore and Google scales it up for them, then probably they're fine. So this is one of the biggest selling point why everybody likes to use Firestore, because you don't have to think about this complexity. It's actually very hard, like, because you can't predict how many users. It's like very hard to predict. So maybe you have like 100 users today, tomorrow 1,000, and the next day just 1 user. You do not know. But if you're using Firestore, you don't have to care about this. All the thing that you do, you don't even have to change a code. So you don't need to change a code. You don't have to click a button. Google just do it magically for you. So yeah, so this is basically why Firestore is so popular. And so enough talking. So that's all the theory part that I'm going to talk about. So before we go into like building the actual program, it's actually very good that you all can have like a taste of what the what the project is, like what the application that we're building. So we actually deployed the application to Netlify. I sent the link in chat, so you can just go there, logged in with your Google account or logged in with your email account or anything. Just try to log in. We're going to get a taste of what we are building right now. So I'll just log in with Google. So I'm logging in. Okay, so after you logged in, you'll see some loading thing. So after the loading thing, you'll see like a wall here. So you'll see like there's some posts. So I can like or dislike, and then I can post a new thing. So I can just say, welcome to GDSC Tarioc. Okay, so after I click create, so you can see that I successfully posted a post. So what I want you all to do now, if you are able to log in, just log in and then try to do something, create a post, like just say hi or something. I'll give you a minute to do that, so you can just log in and then just play around with it before we start actually building that thing. And in the meantime, if anyone has any issue or any problem that you want to ask, just raise your hand or just type it in the chat box. Meanwhile, I'll just keep refreshing to see if someone just posted anything. Okay, yeah. Okay, I saw someone like posted something. Hello, nice to meet you all. Yeah, I'm glad that you're here today also. And DSC Tarioc. Okay, yeah. So basically this is the application that we're building today, where you are able to like, unlike, and also you're able to post something. If you click on the comment feature, it's actually not implemented, but we'll get into it later. But today we're not going to do the comment. We're going just to create the like, dislike feature, and also creating a post feature. That's the thing that we're going to focus today. So without further ado, let's get into the code, man. Okay, so we'll just use back like the I'll just use back the template that Nian provided you, so you don't have to like download any other thing. We'll just continue it with your VS Code if you have already opened it up in your VS Code. So we just continue with that. So let me share my screen. I'm going to share my entire screen so it's easier for you all to see. Okay, and also if my screen is too small or you can't see the code or you can't see anything, just raise your hand or just voice it out in chat, and I'll come back to you. So let me open my project. Okay. Yep. Let's close this first. Okay. So so this is the template that you all have downloaded just now. So I believe Nian has just guided you all through the login and sign up and all that interesting stuff. But I'll just walk through the code a little bit so that you all can have like context. So the assets folder will just store like some image file, nothing interesting. And then the styles folder is where the boring things happen, which is all the CSS. I'm not a person of that like to write CSS. So, and then there are the HTML files. So basically there's 3 pages. So that's why there's 3 HTML. So login, sign up, and index. So index page is the actual, like the social wall page that you see just now. And lastly, there's an SRC page. So this SRC page, SRC folder. So this folder contains all the JavaScript files. So the components here actually means the UI component, but you don't actually need to know what it's doing. Just know that it's for the UI component. And then we have a lib folder. So lib folder will have the configuration for all the external library that we're using. So one of the external library that we're using is Firebase, which is what we use to build a whole application. And the second library is Nian is using this social media thing to create this very awesome effect. If you can see, I'll just sign out. Yeah, like these special effects, like it's really good. I don't like to do all the CSS stuff, but obviously he's better at that. Okay, so it's that, and then lastly there's a logic folder. So this logic folder is actually where the code for that is actually the file that will be interacting the most today, because this post.js file will help will contain the 4 functions that we want to implement. So first is create a post. So creating a post is where you're doing this, where you're just like creating posts. I am creating posts, obviously. Okay, so so I just created a post. So basically, this create post function, it's where allows us to do this thing, allow us to create the post. Okay, and then we have a fetch post function. So this is like the most important function of all, because if you don't have this fetch post function, then when you go to the page, you will just see nothing. It doesn't load anything because it's not able to fetch. So fetch post function is also very important. Then the other 2 functions, it's easier to implement, which is light and unlight. So light and unlight is, I would say, one of the easiest thing to implement, which is this thing where you just click light, and then when it's light, then it will unlight. When it's not light, then you click light, it will be light. So basically, this is what we're building. So first of all, when you open your VS Code, I need everyone to use live server. If you don't have that extension, just go to the market and then just install this live server thing. And then if it asks you to reload, just click reload. It will help you to reload. After that, just click this lower right button here. Click to run live server. Just click go live, and then it will automatically open a tab for you. You shouldn't be able to see this at first, but because you haven't logged in. So just logged in, just log in with Google. So after you logged in, you should be able to see this page. So if you can't get to this page, just raise your hand or something. I'll try to help as much as possible. So if there's not any question, let's get into it. So if let's settle first until here. Anyone has any question to ask, or you have some problem setting up your project, just raise your hand if you have. Okay, I think everyone is fine. Okay, so if everyone's fine, then let's get into it. Let's do the interesting stuff. Okay. So we're at this page. Let's see what we're missing. So we have the create post UI here, and when we click on it, a model will pop up. But let's just try to create a post. The moment when I click create, it says post is successfully created, but it actually doesn't appear. The reason why is because this fetch post function, it's not implemented at all. So it doesn't do anything yet. So just to prove you about that, so let's just try something. If you're on a Windows, you can press F12. If you are using Mac, you can press Option Command I, and you'll be looking at this console. So you can see there's some error here. So let's just do something. So let's just do something so when I click create post, right, it gives me error because we haven't implemented the function yet. But what if I do something here? So console.log is basically like print line in other languages. I'll just delete this. So I just print hi, I am Marcus or something. So I'll just make this bigger. It's easier to see. Okay. So, and also I should use Zen mode, right? Since we're using okay, so it's look nicer. Okay, so so if I do console.log and I say hi, I'm Marcus, and the moment when I do when I do create post, you'll see that it actually logs something. It says hi, I'm Marcus. So when the moment when you click this button, it actually execute that function. So the thing that we want to focus now is to implement the function is to implement this function to be able to create a post. So wait, I think I wrote the wrong place. It should be at here. So create post. But we'll do this later on. We'll do the fetch post first. We'll do this fetch post first. But before we can able to implement the whole thing, the one very important thing is that we have to understand our data. If you do data science, you know understanding of data is very important. So when you have your project set up, you just go to Firestore database here. You'll be able to see what kind of collection that you can have. So you should have an empty project. So what you want to do is just click on Start Collection, and then just write post. Okay, we are using post. Just click Next, and then for this part, just click Auto ID, and then you can turn off this and just click Save. It'll create like a blank document for you, so it doesn't matter. Just let it create a blank document. It doesn't really matter. So as long as you have this post collection here, so as long as you created this post collection here, then it's all good. So you won't have all this data here lah, but just to know that you'll have some data, you have this collection. Okay, so just create that collection. So now, to understand our data, like I say, we have a post collection, then we have a lot of documents. So all of this, you can imagine they are like A4 papers. You are the one that decide what goes onto these A4 papers. So you decide what data you want to store. So for our post, right, what features do we want to have? So we want to know who posts that post, the user, like the person who posted that post, and we want to know the content. And we want to keep track of the number of and we want to keep track of the number of and we also want to keep track of when this post is created, whether it's 6 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago, 9 minutes ago, or 4 days ago. So these are the things that we want to keep track of. So these are the things that we are going to put it on the paper, on the A4 paper. So first of all, we have the first field we call it content, so which is basically the content. So it's a text, it's the content that you store. And then we store the creator at it's called a timestamp. So basically it's just the moment when you created a post. So it's just a timestamp. And then for lights, so we store an array. So if you have done any programming before, array is a collection of stuff. So so you can see let's just do something very real time. You can see there's one light here, right? There's one light here, and you can see back at the application there's one light. But if I click on this light, okay, so now this thing has 0 lights. So you can come back, you can see this array has 0 light. So it actually worked this way. So our lights work this way. We're keeping track of the user ID. So we're just storing them all in an array. So if I go back and to light this post again, you'll see that my user ID goes on to this light array again. So basically this is how we store lights. It's pretty simple. So how do we determine how many lights are there? We just see how many people. We just see the lights array has how many user ID. That's all. So another thing that we want to keep track of is the user. So this user property is to keep track of who created that post. So we want to display when someone created a post, we want to display the name, we want to display the avatar and stuff, right? So basically that's why we want to That's why we want to like keep track of all these properties lah. So for a user, they have an avatar image, they have like avatar URL, they have an email, they have a name, and then they have the UID. So these are the things that we want to keep track of. Basically, these are the things that we want to put on the paper. These are the things that we want to put on a paper. So if you go through like all of the document, I just make them all of the same. That follows the same format, which is easier for us to process. So basically, this is what we want to do. So the first thing first, if you notice when you refresh the page, you'll see that there's loading bar going on. It's because the loading data from Firestore is not instant, because the data lives somewhere. Like I mentioned, the data lives on the cloud. So you're actually fetching data on the cloud. So you can't expect the data to just come. So it has to load somehow. So it has this concept of like loading. So when you send a request, it loads for like maybe 100 milliseconds, and then the data come back. So that's why there's a loading gap. So like there's like a duration for loading. So if you go back to the code, this is to explain why this function is called async. So this async thing is about JavaScript. So if you don't know about JavaScript, I encourage you to just look it up, go and learn about it. And this async concept, it's a bit more on the advanced side of JavaScript. So what async does, it just tells you that this function need times to load. Just remember that, okay? Because fetch post, it doesn't happen instantaneously. It won't happen like in a split of a second, because it has to send this to the server, then the server has to respond back. So it takes time. That's why it's asynchronous. Same goes to all the other operation. Like create post also takes time, right? So you have to tell the server, hey, I want to create a post. So it takes time. Liking a post, unliking a post, all of these take time. So that's why all of them have this async keyword. So just know that you don't understand what is asynchronous, it's okay. Just know that it's a concept of JavaScript that we need to have in order to like complete all this thing. So if you don't know about that, if you do not know what is asynchronous, just look it up. So that's it. So let's start implementing the most important feature of all, which is the fetch post. So there's one operation it's constantly doing, is where when you refresh the page, what it does, it's actually fetching the page. So it's actually fetching the post, sorry. So that's why it's loading. That's why it's loading, because it's fetching the post. So if we come back to the application that we have now that is running through the live server, it actually doesn't do anything. You just see error because the fetch post function doesn't do anything at all. It doesn't do anything at all. So let's just try it out a little bit. What if we cheat a little bit? We try to like what if like how to say? What if we try to return something? Okay, we try to return some data. This data is fake data that we write ourselves. So ID doesn't matter, just write our own ID. So content, let's just do I don't know. Okay, so I need a user, so I need an avatar URL. So let's just copy them from Firestore. Okay. And then I need to have what else? So what else do I need to have? So I need to have a name. Let's say it's testing, UID, doesn't matter, email. I'll just put my email here. It actually doesn't matter, okay. And then there's a likes, right? So let's just make it 0 likes. So it's empty. And created that. Let's just put just put something that is, okay, never mind. So let's just put 0 here. Is it second? Yeah. Just put 0 in it. Okay, we're literally putting some fake data. So let's just see what happens if we put fake data. Okay. So if you try to put fake data, right, you'll see that it actually loads, because now it's actually returning something. But this doesn't work. Anything doesn't work. Because this data is not coming from database. We're actually creating this fake data by ourselves. So this is not the actual data. If you go to the database, there's no user called, like the name is called testing. It doesn't, but you can. So this is how I actually want to show you like how the function works. Okay, the function what it's doing is just returning you an array of data. That's all it's doing. So let's just comment this out. So we want to get like the actual data from Firestore. So like I recommend everyone try to read the documentation, even though the documentation sometimes is a bit messy. But when you have some problem, the only person that can help you to solve, like the thing that can help you to solve, is only the documentation. So we have to like learn to read the documentation somehow. So what we want to do here, so if you scroll down to this part, we want to get multiple documents from a collection. So I just zoom this in so that it's bigger, okay? Bit too big, okay. So so what we want to do is we want to get multiple documents from a collection. So like if we come here, we want to fetch all of these documents, right? We want to fetch all of these A4 papers. So this is actually what we want to do. So what we can do here, in Firebase version 9, we can have like a query function. So we just do like a query function, and then we execute the query. So let's try to do that. There are some specific like concepts that I want first to get here. So let's just do that. So first I need to create a query, right? So we can just import this query from this library. So I actually imported them. So the first thing first, let's see what they specify. So the first thing first, inside the query, the first thing that you need to have is a collection. So you have to tell the library which collection do you want me to fetch, okay? So from here we know that the collection is post. So let's just say collection. I'll pass in the Firestore instance and just say post, okay? So this is basically my query. So my query is, I want to query the collection called post, and then just give me everything. Of course, like if you want to get more advanced, you can put like a var function where it can help to filter the content of like you can do some filtering like SQL, but for time's sake, we're not going to do that. We just create like a simple query. So what does this query does? It will go to this collection. It will go to the post collection. Okay, and then we'll fetch all of the documents back for us because we never specify what kind of filter that it has to have. So let's see. Okay, so this is how we construct a query. So let's just leave a comment. Construct a query. So after constructing a query, what do we do? So it actually call this function called getDocs to execute the query. Okay, let's just do that also. So let's just execute the query. So we can just do the same thing. They call it query snapshot. Wait, getDocs, and we run the query. So we can delete this big data now. It actually doesn't matter. Okay. So this is how we execute the query. There's a function called getDocs, and you can notice that it's DOCS. That means for plural. You are getting a lot of documents, and you pass in the query. So this is the query that we passed in. So let's just see what does it give us. So let's just see. Oh, okay. So actually, we can see it actually it actually works. It gives us something. So if you look at the console, it actually console logs something. So this is the thing that it gives us back. This is what they call like a query snapshot. But this is something that confuses a lot of people. I am fetching documents from a collection. But why am I getting something like metadata, query, underscore Firestore? What are all this? These are nonsense. It's not the thing that I want. I want all these documents. Why are you giving me these? So that's why the Firestore has this concept. When you run a query, they give you back a snapshot. They don't give you the actual data straight away. They give you back a snapshot, but they provide a function for you. It's called docs, where you can access your actual data. So instead of console logging the query snapshot, what we need to do is we want to console log the docs. So these are all the actual data. So if we look at this, then you see like, okay, we have 15 elements in an array. So basically this maps to like all the posts in our collection, because we have like 15 posts in our collection. So, but then still there's one issue. The element within that array, it's another snapshot. So just now that one is a query snapshot. Now within here, it's a document snapshot. It's another snapshot, but it don't have any actual meaning, you know, like I want the actual data. I don't want like, I don't want the metadata. I don't want the like underscore document. Of course, they have their users, but we're not covering them in this topic. So we want to get the meaningful data. So here is where we enter some more advanced JavaScript stuff. So we're going to use a map function. Okay, so a map function is basically just going to take a doc. and then we can basically it's like a for loop where we can like run a certain thing on all the elements. So what we're doing here is we are just looping through each of the document, and then we're calling the data function. So this is the function that Firebase set that they will give you back the actual data. So come back, if you were if you were to see our log again, then you'll see, so here's our actual data. So this is actually our actual data that we want. So if you look at the array, there's 15 posts, and within the post, there's the data that we need, like the lights array, the created at, the content, and the user thing. So these are the things that we want. But if you look closely, there's something that is missing. So we have content, right? We have user, right? We have content, we have users, we have lights, we have created at, but we don't have ID. If you look back here, we have content, created at, lights, and user, but we don't have ID. So this is the thing about Firebase, about Firestore. They handle ID very differently. So like in normal SQL, you would put your ID like as one of the property or as one of the field, but in Firestore you don't do that. The actual document ID is actually this is the ID. So this is the actual ID of it. You don't have to put your own ID because Firestore generates the ID for you. So, but then it's not part of the data, so that's why it doesn't return to you. So from here, then we need to use like another property which is called doc.id. So I'm just, if you don't understand what I'm doing, it's fine. It's totally fine. It's just some more advanced JavaScript stuff. So let's just see what the result we get first. I'll explain a little bit, but I won't go too deep because it's not related to Firebase. So if I go and see the data that I get, so yeah, now I can see I have that ID here also. Content, created at, ID, lights, and user. These are the things that I want. I expect all this to be here. ID, content, user, lights, created at. So this is what we get. But I'll just try to go through what this .map does. .map is like it's going to run through this particular operation on each of the doc, which is each of the element. So for each of the element, I want to get the actual data, and also I want to get the ID. So this is what it's doing. But there's one problem here. We get the actual data already. We have the data, but we still see nothing. Okay? We still see there's nothing rendering here. It's because we are not returning. So this function should return an array. So like it's supposed should return an array of the post, but we're just console logging it out, so it doesn't have any actual value. We're just printing it out through console. So instead of like console logging it out, we should just get actual data. Okay, we just return it, and then so here is where the magic happens. You get all the data back, like you get all the fetch function actually works. You get all the data back. Okay, so yeah, basically you can see how Firestore makes it very simple. Like in extra query, if you were to write a query like this, it probably needs a lot of like lines. But if you take out the comment, right, all that you need is just 3 lines. So you need only 3 lines. So if you really do not want 3 lines, you just want 2 lines, you can also do that. Then it works the same, but you have 2 lines. So you can see how simple Firestore make this is. So that's why many people want to use Firestore and use Firestore in production is because it's very simple. It's very simple to use. It's very simple to get things done. So like for the other 3 functions, it's also very simple. They're normally just like 1 line to 5 lines things. It's not that difficult. So we have the fetch post function working, but now our create post still doesn't work. If I try to create a post, it says it's created, but it's not created. It doesn't work. And for the light and unlight, it still doesn't work. I can click on it, but it doesn't work. So let's do the create post first. So in order to create a post, we need some data that we provided. So like we need the content, like what kind of content that you want me to create. And I also want to know who's the person that create the post. So this is what we're going to do. So I actually for time 6, I already get like the data for y'all. So we just have to do the actual. We only have to write the actual creating post function here. So first of all, if we want to know how to do it, let's just go back to the documentation. We always go back to the documentation as an engineer. So add and manage data, add data. So what we want to do is to add a document. So yeah, adding a document. Okay, so we're not doing a set, but we want to do add doc. Yeah, So we want to add doc. So we're going to do add doc to the collection. So what does it do? Is basically there's a function called add doc. So this add doc function, so the first thing first is the same. We still have to tell like Firestore what's the we still have to tell Firestore what's the collection that he has to create a document at. So we want to create the document at the post collections, and then at the second argument, we are going to provide what the data that it should actually create. So we know that it has the so ID is the thing that we don't have to provide because Firestore will generate it for us. So we need to give it the content. So let's just we have the thing already, so we just put back the content. And for user, we also already have the user, so we just put it back. And for lights, right? So because it's a new post, we expect that there's 0 light, so it's just an empty array. And lastly, we have the created at. So for this created at, it's actually a special type. We can't just because we don't know what's the time now. We have to follow the server like timestamp. So what we can do here is where Firebase actually has this class called timestamp. We can actually just call timestamp not now. Okay, then this will actually create. So this will actually give us the actual timestamp for our creating function. So basically we're done already. So we're actually already done for the create post. It's just that quick. So we already have the content, the user, the lights, and the created at. So it's just that quick. So if I were to go back and test, okay, let's just test it out. Let's just I am testing create post. Okay, so let's just create and you see it works. So we are able to create a post. So if I were to go back to to Firestore, I think I can find it, but not sure. Yeah, I can see. So this is I'm testing create post. So you can see all the data is correctly given. Of course, the lights there's no lights yet, but I can actually manually add light if I want to, so we can see it. So I want to explain how lights work. So like I mentioned, this lights is just an array. So you can put something into the array. So I can put my user ID into the array, and then then that means I like this post. So if I remove my user ID from the array, that means I unlike this post. So let's just find another example which already has lights. Okay, so this is called testing again. Let's look for it. Where is testing again? Testing again. Okay, it's a post by Nian. Um, so there's 2 lights now. Okay, so if I were to delete this light, okay, if I were to delete this light, okay, then you'll see, and I refresh lah, and then you'll see just now it has 2 lights, but now it only has 1 light only, because I have already remove it from the lights array. So basically this is how it works. So in order to do light and unlight, it's very simple. To light post, we just add the person's UID to the post. And to unlike a post, we just remove the person UID from the post. So it's just a very simple thing. But probably you'll be asking, then how so we can't do like add dog, we can do like set dog, but what are we going to try to do? So let's just read the docs again about updating data. So I think it's somewhere here. Yeah, so we have update document. So basically what we do is we use the update doc function. So let's just do that. Let's just do that. Um, Update doc. Okay. Okay, sorry. I just disconnected. I thought, okay, never mind. So I stopped at update docs just now, I think. So wait, so did I just show you about update docs? So I'll just continue from there lah. Sorry for the interruption. So we want to do update docs. So we want to like how to say it? So we want to so we want to like light something. So we're going to oh wait, sorry for a moment. I have a phone call. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Okay, so let's continue from update docs. So for the update docs part, it's basically very simple. To update a doc, right? So basically, we can just do update doc, and then we just pass in a reference to the document. So if we look at the code here, so there's a doc, and then we have to tell Firestore which collection that it's looking for, which is the post collection, and then we need to tell Firestore look for this particular ID. So for this particular post ID, I want to update their lights array. So normally we were going to do something like this, like you have to because it's an array, so you're updating it as an array. But if we are going to do like this, we are going to replace the array every time with just one ID. So when you just keep clicking light, there will always just be one light. What we want to do is we want to append to this array, right? So we want to append to this lights array. So in order to do that, Firebase has this function called array union. So we just do array union to add on to the UID. So if I save this and let's just try, and if I click light, then you can see, okay, it actually works. It added, but then if I click unlight, it doesn't work, okay, because we haven't implemented the unlight. But for unlight, it's very, very simple. I can just copy this out, and I just change array union to array remove, because array union adds on to it, array remove from it. So if I save that and then I just click light and unlight or dislight, it will work. So basically, this is like the whole application. And you can see the beauty of Firestore is that it's very simple. All of this, like, it's not a lot of code. Like for create post, there's just few lines. For fetching a post, just few lines. For updating a post, like liking a post or unliking a post, it's just few lines. So basically, this is the whole application. And of course, in order to build like a full-fledged social media, we still need a lot of like things. Like for comments, it's not implemented, but it's up to you. If you want to continue for this project, if you want to learn more about Firestore, Firebase, just do it. You can implement the comment feature yourself. Just create a new collection here called comments, decide about how the comment should look like, implement the UI, and do it yourself if you really want to do that. So, but basically, this is like a taste of Firestore and what you can do. So I think my session ends here. Does anyone has any questions to ask? Is there any question? If you have, you can raise your hand or just type it in the chat. Okay, so if there's not any question, then I think I'll pass back the time to Sammy.
Alright. Thank you, Marcus Lee, for your workshop about the Firebase Firestore. I hope everyone learned something from this workshop, and then looks like we can still implement the comment section as well, and I hope you all try it out yourself as well, because due to time constraint we cannot teach everything on this workshop. So looks like we have come to an end of this workshop. But before we end, can we also hear sharing from our lead again about the lead code session, which is one of our upcoming event. Let's welcome Maisin.
Everyone. Hi everyone. Can you hear and see me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can see you.
Okay. Right, so this is a quick little introduction again to our new event, new workshops. This will be held weekly. So our next event is going to be lead code sessions. So next. Right, so what is lead code? I'm sure that most of you already know what lead code is, but for those who don't, lead code is an online coding platform that you can use to practice your programming skills. Okay, there are many of questions there, but most of them are data structures and algorithm questions. So lead code can help software engineers or aspiring software engineers to enhance their skill and expand their knowledge, and most importantly, prepare for technical interviews. Next. Right. So this is the lead code interface. We have a question on the left, and then a space for you to write code at the right side, and you can change your language. So here I use C++, and you can run, build, and submit at the bottom. Okay, next. So what is data structures and algorithm? As I mentioned, it is mostly used in software engineering interviews. Okay, data structures is a name collection, a name location that you use to store and organize data, whereas algorithm is a collection of steps that you use to solve a particular problem. Next. So these are some of the important topics in data structures and algorithm. Next. So when and where is our lead code sessions? So again, we are having it weekly, except for the week after because we have Chinese New Year. But usually when there's no public holidays or anything, then it will go on Monday night, and it will be on our Discord server. Okay, so next slide. So you can join us every Monday at 9 to 10 on our Discord server. Right, so Sammy will place the links in the chat. You can register for next week's session using the link, and you can also join our Discord server beforehand. All right, so I hope that everybody learned something from today's workshop, and if you're interested in the lead code sessions, I encourage you to join. We are going to have 2 questions per day. Okay, half an hour for each question. We'll start off with the more easier ones, then we'll slowly get into the more complicated ones. All right, thank you.
Alright, thank you Maisin for the lead code session introduction. So starting from next Monday, every night at 9 p.m. except for public holidays, we will be having this lead code session on our Discord channel. So I have already provided the link. You can join our Discord channel so you can check out the lead code session. And for Alistair Baroy, is there anywhere to access this workshop's recording? Yes, this workshop is recorded. Most probably we will upload it to our YouTube channel if I'm not wrong, but we will notify all of you. You can check out our ThaiUC GDSC platform. Most probably it will be on our yes, it will be on our YouTube channel. You can search up for GDSC ThaiUC and you will find the recording there, maybe by today or by this week. So I hope all of you learn something from this Firebase workshop today, and I'm happy to have all of you here to stay with us for 2.5 hours. So is there any question before we end this session? You are welcome. We have to thank our speaker for today, Wong Nian and also Marcus Lee, for sharing their knowledge. Yes. So I hope everyone continue to learn more about the Google Firebase. There is more to it. Without further ado, let's just end this session if there is no other questions. So I hope you all enjoyed today.